Hello and welcome to VistaTalks, interesting discussions with interesting people from all around the world. I'm your host for today, Priscilla Charles, and I'm joined today by a special guest in Studio 2, Shane Ryan. Hi, Shane.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being on the show. We appreciate it. Shane has an extremely busy schedule, so we will waste no time and get on to the show for our audience who is, I'm sure, dying to get to know you. So, Shane, first, I might not be mistaken in saying that your birthday was very recently. Should I say happy birthday?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was on the 27th of January. So, yeah, special day. Turned
Special day
27 on the
indeed.
27th.
You're actually the exact same age as my sister. Reminds me that I not to forget it in a month's time. So, that must have been like a very special birthday since you were selected alongside Dara Green by Swim Ireland to compete at the Olympic Games, taking place from the 23rd of July to August the 8th. So, congratulations! That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it was great just to find out that, it was on my birthday and it's just being able to be nominated, it just kind of takes like a little bit of pressure off, because it's like
Yeah.
we've been working basically since 4 years ago, since the next Olympics
Yeah.
for this. So yeah, it's a really big honor and just so happy that all the hard work has paid off.
Well, congrats. Yeah, well deserved. And for those of you who wouldn't know Shane yet, Shane is Ireland's fastest man in the 100-meter backstroke, where you attained the time at the 29 Irish Open Championships. So I kind of want to, you told me how you felt about the news, but like you said, you were preparing for the past 4 years. That must have been like, huge pressure. And so tell me how was the announcement made? And tell me everything.
Yeah. So, we found out a little bit earlier than before, so we had to wait a little bit. So that was really hard. So we only really could tell our families, and that was it. But then once the announcement came, then it was just like more like, then we could like send it out on the social media, tell tell my sponsorships, which was great because, they've helped me significantly and I wouldn't really be here without all their help. So it's just everything that just paid off, and it's just like just relief, like everything you worked for, even through the pandemic, everything we went through there. It was just great. I mean, it's like the biggest achievement, that I went to the 2016 Rio Olympics, but now I'm going for my second one. So it's just another honor, and it's a blessing.
That's fantastic. Well, congratulations again. And coming back on your nomination, so National Performance Director John Rodd, who was recently on our VistaTalks show with Simon Hodgkins, and also our keynote speaker at the Fingerball Awards 2019, commented on the selection, the policy selection, because I understand there was a revision, and he was saying, that the revision aims to provide athletes with the fairest possible opportunity to be nominated at the Olympic Games. So what does that mean for you and for Swim Ireland? Can you expand a little bit on this, maybe?
Yeah. So when they restructured the whole Olympic qualification, I mean, I wasn't technically qualified, even though I had the A standard at the time, and I was, qualified by the Olympic standards, but I was not by Swim Ireland or Sport Ireland or the Olympic Federation, just because they put standards in this year to make us swim when we're supposed to swim fast. Like we had to get the A standard to the 2019 World Championships in South Korea. We had to achieve that time there. And then when Irish trials came along, then we could swim within 1% of that time. So just a little bit slower. But if we did not get that time at that meet, that means we have to get the A standard at the Irish trials. And that was the last time you could get it. So there's only 2 times you're allowed to get it.
Yeah.
And if you don't get the A standard, I mean, then you have to hope to be on a relay, because then we're going to like Europeans like a month or 2 later. And that's only relay swims, no individuals whatsoever. So it's just, I was glad that I got that A standard and I knew that I could do the time. And the funny enough, the time that I needed to get under was my time from Rio. So I just had to beat myself from 4 years ago.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So it's just now it's just like, it's just with everything going on, we don't have opportunities to race. Luckily, I was part of the ISL, which is the International Swimming League. So I was able to race, but that's short course meters, not long course, what you see in the, so I mean, it was great to have the atmosphere of racing, but long course to short course are 2 totally different ball games. But you know, it's just now we're training away, and like, you know, we have like our little races this past weekend and the weekend before, but it's only with the teammates, you know, and
Yeah.
like I'm racing people in my backstroke event while they're doing butterfly or freestyle. So it's like, it's just not the right atmosphere. So with the new change, it gives us an opportunity to be competitive at the Olympics when the time comes and when we need to swim fast.
Absolutely. Okay. And you were also, I understand that you were speaking at announcement of the continuance of Circle K for
Yeah.
initiatives last summer. I read it was quite an interesting initiative where the customers could scan the Circle A app or Play or Park loyally tag in store to generate digital coins that the team Ireland athlete can use then to fuel their journey to Tokyo. That's
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool. Like, can you tell us, a little bit about this brand initiative?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just like really amazing. Like they were one of my like, you know, sponsors. So I'm a brand ambassador for them. So they've been really good to me and really good to all the athletes that trying to achieve their goals to try to get to the, you know, the Olympics and Tokyo.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just really cool. So it's a little app on your phone and like you open it up, they have like little bits of food, snacks, like car washes, like, you know, diesel, petrol. So, I mean, they've generated over, I think it was like 117 million digital coins,
Wow.
which that equals out to be like over, was it 83,000 euros worth of
Wow.
just coins alone. But
Fantastic.
for us as athletes, I mean, every little thing counts. I mean, some of the best athletes in the world are the best for what they do because they focus on the little things, you know, and just
Mm.
having a banana, just having a little bit of snack, not worrying about, oh, do I have enough petrol or diesel to get to practice, you know, just like, so it's like having those little bits really, really help. So it's just like, it's so helpful that it's not only me, but it's everyone that I know. They're just like, they always use the app. And if there's something wrong with it, they fix it straight away and all the athletes are happy. So, I mean, I mean, I use it a lot. I know everyone else uses it a lot. So it's a
Yeah.
really, really great app that we have. And, you know, it's a really great sponsor that we have as well.
That's such a clever and fantastic initiative for everyone to be able to participate in your journey and and support you even more. So now I'd like to talk about the global stage. The Olympics is such a huge event, obviously,
Mhm.
and we're all focused on digital now because of the pandemic. So at Vistatec, we have a dedicated digital first program helping companies strengthen their global reach and effectiveness. And it's quite fascinating to learn that back in 2014, like the Olympics had already such digital coverage at the time that exceeded that of traditional broadcasts in a sense, with over 60,000 hours and 230 digital channels. So with the current Olympic plans, it's changing, maybe, we're not sure, and the digital side of the Olympics, that's going to be really important strategically. How do you see this, like, what is your opinion, in terms of like it being so important because of the current situation?
So it's like, I mean, everyone knows, everyone's struggling, you know, everything's like, you know, we're talking online right now. And I think it's just going to really be, it's going to be so important. But also I think it's going to be a better coverage as well, where they're going to have like, you know, more access, more behind the scenes stuff, which is going to give the insight a little bit better. That's what I think, because I mean, they're going to have to entertain, you know,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
right.
think it's a really cool opportunity. Now for the Olympics, I mean, it's the Olympics. Everything's covered. You know, everything's going to be shown.
Mhm.
But I think it's going to be a little bit more this time because what they're talking about once the Olympics go ahead, they're going to maybe not hold it with anybody in the stands. So it's
Mhm.
going to be that much crucial that they have that digital coverage, you know, and getting it out there and, you know, making sure everyone knows what's going on, exactly when it's going to be going on. So like just the updates are going to be really quick, you know, showing it live with high quality, fast internet, like everything's just going to be, I think it's going to ramp it up because there's going to be a need for it. So, I mean, it's just, for me, it's going to be great because, I mean, either way, I still have to race. I still have to do a job for my country and myself. So, it's just going to be good for, like, you know, my family and friends, going to be wherever they are in the world, be able to have access to it.
100%, yeah. And so back on the Olympics, the program is the highest level of Olympic sponsorship, granting category exclusive marketing rights to the summer, the winter, the youth Olympic Games as well, and to a selected number of global partners. So obviously, the program created in 1985 attracts some of the best known multinational companies in the world, which helps athletes over 200 nations, I understand, to participate
Mm-hmm.
in the biggest sporting stage, we can say. So how much engagement and difference to these large brands do you think add to the Olympics?
I think with the Olympics coming ahead, with all the sponsorships, they're going to have to think outside the box a little bit more and try to get their brand out there a lot more as well. So, I mean, just taking any idea and seeing if it's going to work and put it on something to see if it's going to work, see if it's going to show. It's going to be very, very important just to make sure that, like, the branding's on point, putting things on where putting, like, signs and making sure you're covering certain areas that you really wouldn't think about, and knowing the ins and outs of, like, of the stadiums and all of, like, where the camera is going to be. I think that's going to be really, really important. And, at the end of the day, like, they're supporting athletes. So, I mean, it's just yet again, it's just a great opportunity that, there are companies out there that are helping us and doing what they need to do. But at the same time, like, we're helping them to get their brand out there and, make a name, and the better we do, the better, the brand does as well.
100%, yeah, it's true. And it's also interesting that we're speaking of the Olympics and the branding, that Olympic marketing can actually be traced back to the first modern Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
And it really has played a vital role in the growth of the Olympics and the audience following this since 1896, really. So, I mean, in your opinion, that promoting sport is equally important. How does this happen from the grassroots to a global audience for your area?
So it's like, it's just so vital just to make sure that, like, the marketing is out there, and getting it out there. And even, what was it, the
1896?
Like, I feel like it's even beyond that as well. It's like, even like, the Olympics, like, for years and years, such an old sporting event. I mean, how they even get people to the events back in the day, during the Greeks, because they marketed it, everyone knew about it, and it's the same thing. It's every 4 years. So it's really cool that, like, everyone knows and everyone anticipates that, like, the Olympics, like, I can't wait to see swimming. I can't wait for, see Usain Bolt's run for the last time and all that stuff. So it's really, really crucial that, the marketing is out there, but they also need to do it in a unique way now. And everything's just, like I said, they have to think outside the box.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's true, especially with moving to a more digital environment.
Mm-hmm.
And now, as I mentioned, Vistatec works with some of those big global multinational brands in global content solutions, and we help, promote their message to reach audiences in different countries across the world, the planet, their languages and cultures, etc. So now in 2013 and 2016, the program, the Olympics, raised over 1.5 billion of the world population that watched the game broadcast, which is huge.
Nuts, yeah.
In 4K Ultra HD. So why would you say, how important is it to reach new audiences for the sport across the world?
I think it's so important coming from, like, an athlete, and, like, also, like, a kid who loves sport. It just inspires younger generations as well, just getting the access to, doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, just having access to watch it, because it's like, you have some of the best, like, athletes in the world come from nothing, and then you learn about their story, and it's absolutely amazing, because then it goes all the way back to, like, I remember just, like, seeing, Michael Phelps on the TV or some football player on the TV, and that inspired me to be there. So I think it's so important that, it needs to be done 100%, but now I think it's even more important that it has to be done the right way and try to reach even more people. Because of, the COVID situations, everyone has to be safe. Everyone needs to be enjoying themselves as well. So it's just like, it's so important right now for that to really be better. But I mean, still a great achievement if they hit that again, or even hit more than that. Like, that's just unreal. And it's just such an amazing opportunity that they have something like that.
Absolutely. And now, for me, I want to get to know the athletes, and I want our audience who might have, any questions, or, who might be looking at you, a younger audience, who might wonder, I want to be like Shane one day, and talk about, your journey to this point. So you were born and raised in Pennsylvania, and you graduated from Penn State University with a degree in event management, which is pretty much what we could say we do the same thing, really.
Yeah.
After event, we're in the podcast, so we have something in common, and I want to know. So, past the event management degree, where did the passion for swimming start? What is the connection, and has this always been there?
Yeah. So I mean, like, to start it off, like, my mom was the big, that's who I look up to, and that's always who kept me in swimming. Growing up, I mean, I played like over 10 sports growing up. But like my mom always kept me swimming. So if I played lacrosse or baseball, basketball, American football, like anything like that, I would go play my school sport, come home, eat in the car, and then go to swim practice when I was younger because my mom was my swim coach growing up.
Okay.
So she was like, she just always knew, you know how moms always have that, like, you know what, I want to say this, and then, you know, I know I'm right, but you're going to disagree. So that's what she did to me all the time. She's like, no, you're going to come to swim practice. So that's what I did. Even after like basketball games, I would rock up to swimming and in my basketball uniform and just get in. I might be a little late, but she just knew that swimming it came easy to me, and I had a special talent. So now, I mean, with everything now, I'm like a semifinalist in the 2016 Rio Olympics. I'm a 4-time medalist for Ireland and first world medalist as well. So she knew. She's always right in some aspects. So yeah, so I mean, it just really up until 18 years old, I didn't really care for swimming. I just always swam it, and like I started seeing colleges started getting, you know, like, would you want to come to, like, you know, Penn State, Tennessee, Michigan, like all these, like, went on recruiting trips.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I had to take a step back from that and think like, okay, well, like, where's my best options? Where am I going to get the best education? Because there is a life after swimming. So education, I'm really big into education. And so it's like, okay, like, you know, I chose Penn State because that's what I felt comfortable at. Like I felt very comfortable there, and they had a great, like, you know, program for what I went to school with. And they had a great facilities as well, except for our pool. Our pool was not the greatest, but it was good for training. It's built in like 1964, very, but when we went to other pools, it was big. And then literally I dropped 3 seconds within 8 months from my like high school time to my like backstroke time which is crazy because that ended up putting me on the US national team.
Wow.
In just 8 months, and just actually focusing on swimming, gaining about 25 pounds. And then I was like top 10 in the world with only like 8 months of just focusing on what I needed to do. And it was a very hard first year for me at Penn State.
Yeah.
Really, really hard. So it was great to see, like, you know, all the hard work kind of paid off, and then it just kind of trickled over. So it's just, and then ended up like, you know, 2015 came around, 14, we were thinking about doing the Irish thing. And then after that, the rest is history.
Wow, that's fantastic. So she was right all along. I bet now she was here. I was right. But hard days off, definitely. So, well, fantastic. And so you mentioned, you know, 2015 and Ireland. So I understand that you started to compete for Ireland, for Swim Ireland in 2015. So I'm sure you may get asked this question quite often, but why did you decide to compete for Ireland and not the United States? Is this related to your personal background?
Yeah, so I mean, I was a fast swimmer, and I was definitely able to, you know, because I was on the U.S. national team. But, you know, for myself, what I needed to accomplish, you know, in my life, I wanted to be an Olympian no matter what. So I took the sacrifice of stepping down from that. And, you know, and my dad's from Ireland, so full on Irish, you know, Midlands brogue and all that stuff. So he's 1 out of 10. And he's the only one living in the States. So all 9 of them still live in Portarlington, in County Laois, in Ireland. So there's a big family there. My mom, she's 1 out of 8, and she lives in Philadelphia. So, but her grandparents are from Ireland and from Mayo. So it's like, you know, both sides are Irish. So I've always had that opportunity there. And my mom always kept my passport. That's why I always got it when I was really, really young. She was like, just in case there could be a possibility. So there again with the moms. She was like, just in case, you know, there was a possibility that you could go swim for Ireland. And you know what, it was like my last week of finals, my junior year. I didn't know what to do. And I just said, you know what, like, I'm going to make a decision, and made a decision within 3 days, and dropped everything, made sure my school was good when I came back, when I was going to come back and finish my degree. Like I had to as soon as I got off the plane, went right to a lawyer's office, got it noted that I was here, that I came in. Swim Ireland was absolutely amazing with how they helped me. And, you know, like, it was really hard for me at first because I went from 50,000 undergrad students and, like, you know, a big team of 60 people to living in a old house by myself with no money, only a bicycle for transportation. And it would lived on a 500-acre property where the pool's at. So I had to ride my bike at like 4:30 in the morning in the rain, like 2 kilometers just to get to it. Wow. So that's why, so it was like really, really hard for the first year. And then, started like, once I qualified, ended up, going on a little bit more trips, staying away from the house. But it was really hard because I remember like I just would just sleep just to pass the time. And it was just really, really struggling because it's just, I didn't have school, and like I had like one other roommate, but he had school, he had a job, and he was still swimming every now and then. So it was really hard for me, just from like the different aspect of, from college and then coming to Ireland and focusing full on training. And it was totally different levels of professionalism, here in Ireland compared to over, college swimming.
Yeah.
So it was really, really hard, but it paid off, and I would do it again over and over and over again. And now I'm living here for over 2 years now again, and I love it now. Absolutely love it.
That's brilliant. And you're based in Dublin, right?
Yeah, based in Dublin, yeah.
Well, fair play to you. That sounds very challenging, but very consistent. And that's, I say, that's what
I knew there was an end date living in that house. So yeah, so I knew that I just needed to stay strong.
And so you're on your own now.
Yeah, I'm on my own.
And so you're also involved in different activities. So correct me if I'm wrong. I understand that you were involved in Fitter and Faster, the premier swim clinic and camp operation in the United States for competitive swimmers. Can you tell us a little bit about the Fit and Faster, please?
Yeah, no, it's a great organization over there. And it's like, it's run by this guy named David Artluck. He's really good, but he knows what he needs to do, to help inspire the younger generation over in the States. So we have like a bunch, like over 75 swimmers, high caliber swimmers that get sent across the whole country. And it's just like, all we really care about is just trying to like make the kids better, make them have an amazing experience, and making them, having that experience where like, oh my God, I swam with an Olympian, like in the same lane, and he swam with me, and I raced them as well at the end. So it's a really, really cool opportunity, and it's a great way for us swimmers, we like Olympic swimmers, like there's no money really in swimming whatsoever. Like you don't go into swimming because you want money. Like, so it's a great way, to have some cash in your pocket, and get by and all that stuff. So, I mean, I absolutely enjoy giving out, swim lessons and teaching younger kids, because still to this day, I haven't done one in a while with them, but still to this day, I'll get messages from, kids I had clinics with, and they're like, hey, I remember you came here 2 years ago and you helped me with this. And I just want to say thank you. Like, and like, hey, like, like I did this, and and like, from your clinic, and I dropped 2 seconds, and it just makes me just, feel happy, because it's like, I have so much knowledge about the sport and swimming, I just want to share it, like why hold it in? So really, like after Tokyo, I want to try to set something like that up here in Ireland as well, which is really cool, because there isn't anything like that, like I want to inspire the younger generation of Ireland with the swimmers, because, sport is so big here, but there's so much more to swimming than just swimming for your country. You can go swim in college, you can go like, meet new connections. Like I've been all over the world, like been to Asia 4 times, all over Europe, everywhere, just because of swimming. So I just want to try to inspire the younger kids and try to set something up like the Fitter and Faster, but here in Ireland. So I think that would be a really cool opportunity for myself to do something like that, because I would love to do that.
That sounds brilliant. And I'm sure, whoever listens to the podcast, if it's one of our younger, members, one of the younger audience, they'll be probably very excited. So you'll have to let us know how this, how you get on when we can see this starting. And so you also, I understand that you also joined the Toronto Titans, a Canadian-based team's professional swimming team in January 2020. So is there any plans this year, obviously, with the Toronto Titans?
Yeah, so I mean, we finished our season in November. It was a camp it was actually in a bubble. We was in Budapest. It was season 2 of the ISL, which is the International Swimming League, and I was with the Toronto Titans, which is like just a team name. So we have myself, we had like, a couple of Russians on the team, so a lot of Swedish people, all over, a collective of swimmers. So it was so cool because there was 10 teams, and we were all in a bubble in Budapest. We all lived on a little island. We all lived in 2 different hotels, but everyone had their own hotel room.
Okay.
Stayed with the COVID. Everyone had to wear a mask. Everyone had to get a COVID test every 5 days. Everyone had to eat 2 meters apart. And you had to stay on that island. If you didn't oblige by those rules, you would either get sent home or fined. So it was very, very strict. And there was about 1,200 people that were involved with it, you know, like getting all like the lights set up and all that stuff. And no one got COVID during that time. So it was the biggest sporting event held during the COVID, and no one got it. You know, people were tested before, like, so I had to get 2 tests before I traveled. Once I got there, I got another test and went right to my room until it came back negative, and then I was able to leave. But some people got caught and got it while they traveled, so they had to quarantine for 2 weeks in their hotel room. But then after that, they were able to, you know, they were fine. They were able to get antibody tests and all that. But it was a really, really cool opportunity for us, you know, because it's short course meters. And it was very fast. There's one meet is 2 hours, 2 2-hour sessions. And it's like, for me, my first day was like, you know, I swim, then I have 30 minutes later, swim again, and then another 30 minutes and swim again. Now that 30 minutes starts as soon as you finish your race. So really you only have about 15 minutes because you have to get up, you know, get dried off right before your race, go to the like call room 10 minutes before. So it's a back to back to back. And you feel like you get hit by a car after each race. So it was really cool because it was like everyone and the best in the world were all there. So it was like a mini worlds almost. But you also have the team aspect behind it, you know, because it's like, you know, with the international swimming, it's very individual, you know, and you have your country relays, but it was just more of a team atmosphere with the team there cheering with you. There was nobody in the stands, but, you know, that didn't matter. You still had a job to do. But it was also a great opportunity for us swimmers to make some money as well. So there was like prize money involved. There was, you know, for different places where your team placed, you know, and each, like, you know, semifinals was a little bit more, and then finals was a little bit more. There was like MVP points as well. So it was a really, really cool opportunity for us swimmers to really, you know, go out and have fun, race, you know, because there's not any other opportunities to race against other people. So it was really, really cool. So season 3, hopefully we'll go through. But I mean, at this stage, we don't know what's going to be happening because it's going to be held sometime after the Olympics.
Yeah, no, I can imagine with the pandemic, that's my next point. Obviously, you know, it's turned our world completely upside down all over the world. So how have you adapted over the past year? I mean, I was looking at your Twitter account and I saw this video, you know, with a full-on schedule. Was impressive, you know, between the announcements, you know, of the Olympics, your birthday, the training, the gym. So tell me a bit about it.
Yeah, no, it was kind of like a crazy experience, you know, finding out, and it's just about like, you know, like about me, like, you know, after the, you know, finding out about the Olympics being postponed and all that. Yeah. So that was a bit of an interesting start. So we were still in the water, you know, when they first shut down the schools here in Ireland, you know, we were actually in the airport, about to go to a swim meet in Edinburgh. And then my coach decided, it was like, no, we're not going. Like the Sport Institute just told us we're not allowed to go. So there was about like 30 of us about to jump on a plane within 30 minutes. And then we ended up going back, swam for a couple, like 2 more weeks at most. And then everything got shut down. It was a really interesting time for me because once we found out, all right, Irish trials got moved back, and then, oh, the Olympics got moved back. And I had to take a step back and realize, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to be kind of like freak out about this, or just be like, take it what it is and do it and come out of this quarantine and come out of this and have a better mindset and be better than my competitors. Like, I'll be like, all right, this is another year for me to get better. I'm very happy all the time. I'm an optimist, you know, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to work hard during this and I'm going to come out better than this. Like, cause there's still have an end goal because no one's going to change my mind. And then ended up staying here on this, like, you know, big lockdown. We weren't allowed to leave our houses past 2 kilometers. There was guarded checkpoints everywhere. And I lived by myself, no human contact for 3 months. 3 months that was. So all I had was like a bike. I had like, you know, the Sports Institute was great here and gave me like 90 kgs worth of, you know, dumbbells, and, you know, I had weights here, jump rope, bike. So, I mean, I worked out 4 hours a day just to pass the time. Barbecued because it was somewhat of nice weather out here in Ireland. So I barbecued a lot, you know, try to stay outside as much as I can, but, you know, each day, you know, and like, I just took it day by day, you know, and like each day I was like, you know, I'm going to be a little bit better this day, a little bit better this day. Cause it's all little things that will add up, and you can't really think about what's in the future or what's in the past. You just have to live in the now almost. Because once you start doing that every single day, being like, okay, I'm going to be a bit better today. I'm going to be a bit better like today or tomorrow, the next day, it's a snowball effect. You start getting into that rhythm of being a bit better and having a bit more of a mentality of like, okay, I'm going to eat better. I'm going to be better at, you know, like, you know, cleaning the house, or, you know, I'm going to work out a little bit more, push an extra rep, or anything like that. So it's a really, I thought I did okay during it, you know, and a lot of people really struggled with it because it's hard on a lot of people, you know, it's something that everyone hasn't experienced in over 100 years. So you just have to be mindful and like kind of like, you know, if you're starting to lose it a little bit, just take a step back, breathe a bit, and just kind of focus on what can make you better, you know. And then also living in that old house by myself for so long, for over a year, definitely prepared me for this. So 3 months was nothing compared to over a year there. So I mean, it was really hard, but I ended up working out because I came back really in good shape and still getting faster. I'm 27. I'm still some of the best times of my life. So definitely paid off.
Well, fair play to you, because I was talking about it the other day with my partner, thinking how tough it must be for young people and people who live on their own as well, you know, missing that human interaction, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you're training, you're in contact with people all the time, but just psychologically speaking, I think for anyone, and especially if you're, you know, preparing, I think for such, you know, high objective as the Olympics, the impact it can have on your, you know, psychologically speaking, I think.
Yeah, and like, you know, one crazy thing too, it's like you have to think like outside the box, you know, and also have to think about like, okay, like what, just kind of think of crazy ideas. So I would have like, you know, Zoom dinner dates with my girlfriend, you know, have a nice cooked meal, and, you know, and just have that once a week or twice a week, and try to like, you know, talk to other people. We also did Zoom talks, or Zoom game nights with my team. We did Zoom core, Zoom exercises. So, I mean, we try to stay busy as much as we can, but also try to get into a routine. I thought that really, really helped me. Like every day, it's like it wasn't just sleeping in until like 10 a.m. or 12 p.m., going to bed really late. And yeah, you're going to have days like that, but getting yourself into a routine really helps you just have a structured life. You know, be like, okay, I'm going to wake up at, you know, 9 a.m. I'm going to work out for this. I'm going to eat this at this time, and just try to schedule it each day by day. Because then you're not thinking about what I need to do. You already had that planned out, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to do this now. And then all of a sudden it's like 7 o'clock at night, and you're like, oh, all right, I got all that done within the next day. So that day's done. Move on to the next one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you know, you don't have to think about it and stress about, you know, how am I going to be able to spend this day, but you actually done something and can, move on to the next one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the little bits. Do something little each time, so you feel accomplished when you do those little things, and those little things will start to add up. And yeah, little wins always lead to the big wins.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then January is over finally, and then we're up to February. So, and then I wanna talk about the Pink Global Awards. So as some of our audience know, we're running a program, an awards program, and you'll be delivering a keynote speech at the Pink Global Awards on April 21st, 2021. So the shortlist of the announcements has been announced on February the 8th, and we're seeing fantastic organizations, you know, applying this year, making the cut. So of course, I can imagine you can't really give us any hint of, you know, what will be your speech and the content of your opening address. But I wondered, like, competing at a global level yourself, how important is it, in your opinion, to recognize individuals and organizations at a global level?
I think it's like really important because, you know, it's like the swimmer, like say for instance, like the swimmer like myself, you know, it's like I'm putting in all the work, but everyone else, it's like who's behind me, like, you know, my coaches, you know, Circle K, you know, I have a car sponsorship as well, which is great. So Windsor Motor Groups helps me have a car here. So it's like those organizations and all, you know, it's like Sport Ireland, Swim Ireland, they all come into play as well to make our lives a little bit easier. Now with my sports marketing, and I worked with Penn State Athletics for 15 weeks as a semester, you know, as an internship. So I was an athlete before, and I was just, you know, going in and doing my thing, going to the swim meets. But as the event management, I got to see the other side of that. I got to see the other side of what actually, like, what the work is to go into it, how much planning goes involved. So I just have a big appreciation for Sport Ireland, Swim Ireland, and all the sponsorships and all the organizations, because it's a lot of work what they do. You know, it's a lot of sacrifice as well. So, I mean, I always give everyone as much credit as I can, you know, and even my coaches, like I have a little, like, you know, like this sponsorship called NOCO, and, you know, and there's just like a little branch amino acid caffeine drink, you know, it's like carbonated water. So like, you know, I love it, but my coaches really like it as well. So I got into my contract that they can get some of the no-cos as well, because they work all the time. They're on deck like 24/7. They're there for us 24/7. So it's just like, I just want to help them as well get by as well as me, because I think it's so important just to recognize and give, like, just thank you, and anything, little things, just like, on their birthdays, bring them something like a little treat or something like that, or having that little extra, like, little pick me up here and there. I think it's so important to have that. So yeah, so thank you for everyone for if they ever hear this, but I think it's really important to give thanks, even like, my parents sacrificed a lot. So it's just, I'm a very, I was raised on, like, always thanking people and being grateful for everything that I receive, because at the end of the day I do work hard, but I mean, everyone else has a little bit of a hand in there as well.
Thank you. Yes, no, I very much agree. And I want to ask one more question before we. So there's a little bit of controversy about the Olympics. And there was, first of all, a sexism row from the former Prime Minister of Japan making inappropriate comments about women. But there's also a poll that found that 80% of Japanese people wanted the Olympics, the Tokyo Olympics, to be cancelled or maybe postponed.
Yeah.
What's your thought on this?
So my thoughts on the Olympic postponement is, I mean, it already happened for a year, and you have to think about, like, all the organizations, like, they pick the Olympics like years and years and years ahead. I believe it's going to go on. So I'm still training like it's going to go on regardless of what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But if Japan decides not to have it, okay. I mean, it doesn't matter to me, because I mean, I'm still training for another event. Once that's done, like, I'm still going to swim afterwards to try to go for 2024 as well. So it's like, that just gives me another goal. But once it happens, Japan's going to be in a big, big debt, because I heard there was two numbers floating around. It's like either 25 billion or 40 billion dollars that they're going to lose out. Now, if they hold the Olympics with just the athletes alone, and they broadcast, like we were talking about earlier, about how, like, they brought in about over $1 billion worth of stuff, or reached out to 1 billion people. Like, they'll make back about 80% of their revenues, just on broadcasting, just having the athletes there, so it won't be that big of a hit to Japan. I mean, even $25 billion, that's a lot of money there. So I think what they're worried about is, the people that aren't vaccinated going in. I believe the athletes should be somewhat vaccinated going into the Olympics. They're might have to, separate us, or, keep us in smaller groups, at the dining halls. Now, the dining halls are massive at the Olympics, and there's plenty of space, but take out some tables, the social distance. But I mean, out of everyone, for this thing to happen, like, Japan will definitely get it right. I believe that, they will have the order. They'll have, being strict on, everyone about, doing the right thing. So if the country was going to do it, I think Japan would be the perfect country for them to uphold the Olympics. But I would love for it to go ahead, because I want to swim in it. I believe it's going to go ahead. So that's my take on it.
Thanks. And I mean, before we end this interview, I can't believe the time's already flown by. What's on the horizon for you? So we're talking, very likely Olympics in Swim Island. Is there anything else on the horizon for Shane this year, 2021? Is there anything else you want to share with our audience before we close?
Yeah, I mean, just follow me through my process here, and through my story, because it's not over yet, because I'm still going to try to go for 2024. My main goal is just go to the Olympics. I've reached the semifinal already. Now it's time to reach a final and try to be a medal fighter for the medal in my event. Also try to help my relay. We're trying to get Ireland's first male medley relay to the Olympics, which is huge. And then also try to help with the swim clinics as well. I think that's really, really important, because I mean, last Olympics we only had 3 swimmers. It was me, myself, and Fiona Doyle. Nicholas Quinn, and Fiona Doyle. And that was it. Only 3 swimmers out of a massive. We're a small country, but I mean, we have pools a lot everywhere, and everyone's, anytime anyone's like, oh, you swim, like, oh, I used to swim as well, I always get that everywhere I go. But to try to inspire a younger generation, and try to get, realize, like, okay, swimming is not just a life sport, because it is a life sport, but you can actually, go somewhere with it, and make new connections, like I said earlier. So the swim clinics are definitely going to be coming around for sure. And then, the next Olympics.
Sounds like a busy year for you ahead.
Yeah.
Busy, should I say, if you're already training for 2024, busy like 3-4 years ahead. So, well, thank you
It's
so
only 3 years. It'll go fly by quick. And then also the ISL as well. The ISL will be big if they can pull that off.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shane. I really appreciate your time. Again, I know you're very busy at the moment, but it was a great discussion. I learned a lot, and I'm sure, everybody will be really super keen and excited to, to listen to you and see, what's happening, this year and the next Olympics and follow you. Yeah, thanks so much, Shane.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
And we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you.
The end of today's show with Shane Ryan, Olympic swimmer. So please make sure to tune in again to listen or watch our next VistaTalks show discussing more interesting topics with interesting people from all around the world. Thank you.